Hello everyone, and welcome to my Excel Dashboards crash course for those advanced users who want to get the most of their Excel. You must be an Excel advanced user and know your functions inside and out before taking this crash course. Although this course is free, it's fast, intense, and it gets the job done. I do provide a 150-page manual for this course in PDF format, but I only cover 4 of the chapters in this crash course. Please feel free to review the other chapters so you understand the topics I do cover. My name is Robin Solonenko, and I've been teaching Microsoft for over 25 years, from corporate boardrooms to educational institutions and private firms. A few years back, I started writing my own computer instruction manuals, and they are used today in all the classrooms I teach. All my courses I release here on Udemy also receive the actual manual I teach from in PDF format. Thanks for signing up for this course, and I hope you check out my other courses I offer for the Power Platform suite of products. That's Power BI, Power Apps, and Power Automate. Make sure you go through all the topics in this section as they're important notes to what I'm covering today. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the other side. Hello everyone, and welcome to this quick little topic on how to get a hold of me. If you need to get a hold of me in any fashion, there's a couple ways to do this. You can go to my site, alpha1media.ca, get a hold of me there, and also see what else I have to offer. My LinkedIn profile under Robin Solonenko, and you'll also be able to see some video posts. Udemy also has direct messaging and Q&A. The Q&A is just below this screen here where you can leave some questions and I'll get to them as well. But I'd also like to take the time to let you know that I hope when the course is finished, you can take the time to write some reviews and rate this course. It is those ratings and reviews that help us make this course better. If you do have some concerns about the way I've presented this course, please send me direct messages, give me some constructive criticism, and I'll see what I can do. All right? Thank you, and we'll see you in the next topic. Hello everyone, and welcome to this topic where we set some expectations for the Excel Dashboard crash course. First, this course is intended for the advanced user of Excel. You must be a regular user of this product and know your way around functions. You must have strong keyboarding skills, know your basic shortcut keys, and overall computer experience. This is a crash course taught under 2 hours. Therefore, I will not have time to explain the basics to you. Some of the functions I present may be new, but the concept of function syntax should not. I may also show you new ways to modify your charts, but charting should not be new to you. The only thing that should be new to you is the concept of creating a dashboard in Excel, and this is what the course is about. Also, the speed of my instruction. Remember, my videos are taught without interruption, unlike a classroom setting where I do get interrupted. Therefore, I may not repeat a process as much as I would in front of that same classroom setting. So feel free to pause the video, replay it, and do it again in your Excel dashboard file. These videos are intended for you to learn at your own pace, not at the pace that the video was recorded. Also, refer back to the manual when you need to. And lastly, since I do provide the full 150-page PDF manual for this course with a total of 8 chapters, I only touch on 4 of those chapters and only cover a few topics in each, just enough to create the visuals I need to create the Excel dashboard in the final chapter. I do recommend you read chapters 1 through 3 so you have an understanding of what is expected as the video starts, with topics in chapter 4 where I start with functions. All right, if all that works for you, then you're ready to go. Please see the next section where we have a PDF manual correlation with the video, and then you're ready to start section 2. See you on the other side. Welcome everyone to section 2, the Dashboard Formula Toolbox topics. This is where we're going to use a bunch of our formulas to get us ready for that dashboard. This is chapter 4 in the provided PDF manual, just an FYI. And since we're on a crash course here, let's get right into this and open up this Excel Dashboards Data Excel file that you would have downloaded for the course. I already have a lot of stuff kind of half done for us just to speed it up, but I want to quickly just review what you're seeing here. We have 3 tables or 3 sheets with data on it: the tickets table, officer tickets, and courses. And then we have a colored tab section, 1 for each section. So we can, of course, we'll go to section 2. And the other thing to note, I've already done the first couple topics in section or chapter 4 in the book where we already named all that we need. So if you don't know how to name your content, please refer to the book, and let's get right into it. Okay, the first two functions we're going to look at here are index and match. I'm not sure if you've heard of those before, but basically the index function is used when the VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP no longer make sense, because the V and the H go one direction at a time, whereas the index goes both directions. So the syntax for the index is basically just three arguments. It needs to know the array, or the table, and then comma, how many rows down, and comma, how many columns over. The match function also requires three arguments. It's what am I looking up, comma, what table do I look it up in, comma, how do I look for it? And what we mean by that is that the match function returns the starting position of what it finds, not the value. The index function returns the value, match returns the position that value sits in. All right, so we're going to see that play out here real quick. First, the idea here in this first one where it says index match scenario 1, we're going to be able to select a ticket, and I want it to go to the tickets table and pull in the date, criminal, and the amount. So in C4, so go to the Data tab, Data Validation, and where it says allow any value, it's going to be a list. Now here's typically where you would put a reference to where the list sits, but since we've already named it, or I did for you, you can just say equals and the name of that list, and I called it tickets, ticket IDs. Okay, so just equals ticket IDs, click OK. If you click the little drop down arrow, voila, there's the list from the tickets table, just like that. Now, in the rest of these, we need some sort of formula that looks at those, goes back to that table, goes to the proper field, and pulls in the information. So for this, we're going to use the equals index. Equals index. Now again, I already named this for us. So you're going to go to the date issued column, which is in that table, comma, and you're going to match it with C4, the absolute value of C4, which is a function F4, where that matches the ticket IDs, and comma 0 means you're looking for an exact match. Okay, so it's going to go the ticket IDs with the C4, the value in C4, and then that is the value, the one it brings back. Now it's going to give us an NA, and that's because there's nothing in C4 right now, and that's okay. I'm going to do the next one again, and it's basically the same thing, index, but this time it's the full name column is what we want returned after you match the, again, this function F4 for the dollar signs, ticket IDs, comma 0, two ending brackets. And one more time, goes index, but it's the amount field I want this time. Match, again, C4, boom, comma, ticket IDs, comma 0. Okay, so now when I go to C4 and I pick a ticket number, voila, it pulls in everybody's information, just like that. Isn't that cool? It's all using a pick list with the index and match. Okay, now let's come over to scenario 2. In this one, we have a little table designed for us. And again, I've already named this data list, and these labels are data labels. And we want to use a pick list here. Now, the thing here is we want the user to pick one of these labels, and it will pull in either this list, or that list. So, okay, we start off with another pick list. So from data ribbon, data validation, allow a list. What is the source? Equals data labels, because that's what I already called it. Otherwise, it would read H4:J4. Say OK, boom, there's my list, which is those right there. So doing the list is fairly easy. Now it's the second one. We do need a list in here, but we have to do it, we do a formula. So same thing, data tab, data validation, and we're sitting in M6 by the way. And we do a list again, and it's the source. Well, the source is going to equal the index function. Now, because there's no rows down, we're going horizontally. After we put in the table that we're referencing, which is the data list table, we do 2 commas there because we don't need the row, we just need the column. And again, you're going to match that with the value that's in the absolute value that's in M5. So $5, just like that. Okay, comma. And again, the data labels, comma 0. Okay, so take the value that you see in M5, go to the data labels range, find it, and then take the list underneath it. Now you're going to get this error, and that's only because there's nothing in M5 yet. So just say yes to that. Go to M5, select a label. Now when you come down here, look at that. You got a list of cities. I choose province, I get a list of provinces. And if I choose full name, I get a list of all the full names. Okay, so this pick list is dependent on the first one. And that's what you're learning here in scenario 2. Okay, that's all I have to say about index and match. We'll see you in the next topic when we talk about the IFS sisters, or the if sisters. Welcome back to this topic where we will discuss the IFS functions, which is essentially the SUMIF, IS, and the COUNTIF, IS functions. And if you've done SUMIF before, they are identical to the SUMIF and COUNTIF, and all the S is doing is allowing it to have more than one condition, up to 29. Because in the current SUMIF situation, you can only compare to one thing, whereas now with the S, as soon as you throw the S in there, you can do up to 29. The other thing to note is that as soon as you do more than one, it's an automatic AND condition where all have to be met. Okay, so back on this file that we just left, I do want to make one correction, because back over here, we used in the formula amount, it should be total amount, because we have 2 tables here at the bottom. I chose the wrong one, and that's okay. It won't change the answer much. I mean, it does change it, but the reason being is because we need the amount in the one we're about to do here right away. Okay, so come back to this document, scroll over to the sum IFS and count IFS, and let's get going on this one. So these ones, I just typed in these ranks over here, and I got a couple questions. So the first question is, I want to know the total amount written basically by female captains. So that's this table over here. It's going to have to go look for all the females, the Fs, and then add up the amounts using a SUMIF IFS. So in, I guess this is S5 equals IFS, sum IFS, sorry. And it is referencing the same way that a SUMIF does. So what am I going to add up? You're going to add up the amount column, because that's in the officer tickets table, where gender, because I already remember these are all labeled for you already, gender, comma, double quote F, because it's text-based. So that's the first condition. It's looking for the gender is equal to F, comma, the rank, comma, because again, that is a field that's already been listed or named. And that is going to be what sits in here, Q6. Okay, ending bracket. Now, when we hit the enter key on this one, we do get a value error. Now, the reason being, and I did this intentionally, is because the officer tickets table is a table. I did an insert table, and you can tell because there's a table design up here, versus the other ones that are just typed in and they're not a table. They're not defined as a table. So when something's defined as a table, when you're using these functions, we now have to make a change. We actually have to put the name of the table prior to that. So we did call it officers underscore tickets, and it has to be a square bracket for the fields, like this. I do the same thing for gender, officer tickets, square bracket, and then the rank, because it's all coming from that same table, so we have to specify the table. This is because it was defined as such. There we go. Now we get $700 written by female captains. So what you're learning there now is if you're using tables, you have to define the table name. Okay, next question. How many tickets written by lieutenants and captains? Okay. So this one, because there's two types, we're going to have to do it twice with the count if. So equals count IFS. And again, same thing. So now that we know it's officer tickets, square bracket, the rank field, like that, comma. Now, where does lieutenant sit? Lieutenant sits right there. So it's comma Q7. So count those plus count IFS. Same thing, officers tickets, bracket, square bracket, rank again, comma, and we said captain, so that's Q6, ending brackets. Okay, we should get 23 tickets were written by lieutenants and captains. Okay, one last question. Total amount by lieutenants and corporals. So the other one was counting how many. Now I want to sum up, but by two different ranks. So equals sum IFS. Again, officer tickets. What are we looking for? The amount, or what are we adding up? The amount. Okay, comma, where the officer tickets, square bracket rank, comma, what about the rank? It is, we said lieutenant, so that's Q7, ending round, plus sum if S, and all over again. Actually, if you want, it might be good or easier just to copy this, everything but the equal sign, paste it in, and just change the Q7 to a corporal, which is Q8, and that's it. Should get $9,600 worth in tickets written by those two types of ranks. Okay, that's all we have to say about the IFS sisters. Let's go on to the next topic, where we talk about large and small functions. Welcome back, everyone, to the large and small functions part of the course. If you just scroll over in the same document, you will see this large and small section. And what we basically are going to do with this, I already have the data typed in, the 15 years or so with gross revenue for each year. And basically all I want to do is find the top 5 years and the worst 5 years. This is equivalent of the ranking function in Power BI, but here we use large and small. And so what we're going to do is if we come over to AE4 here in the corner, and let's start off with the large function. So equals large. Also, just an FYI, this time we're not going to use name references because I want you to see what it's still like to use these cell references after we've done some naming and why it's going to be cumbersome. So the large, basically we have to tell it to look at the AB4 to AB19. And we can put the function F4 on those. So you're looking in that range, comma, for AC4, this one. That's why we have 1, 2, 3, 4 here. Basically the first largest one. Hit bracket at the end of that, enter key, and 4405, or 4.4 million. And that's sure enough, that is the largest one. If you autofill it down to the rest, you should get a nice 44, 3.9, 3.5, 3.1, and 3.0. Those are the top 5. And for the worst 5, you guessed it, I'm doing this in AE11, it's just equals small, same range, which is the gross revenue range over there, comma, and we're referencing AC11, this number 1, and ending bracket, and you get the reverse, autofill it down, 1.4, 1.82, etc., etc. So that's how you use large and small. But I want to bring to this yet the years, because that's great. We see the worst and the best 5 years, but what years were they? So come back up to 84, and we have to do another index and match function here. So equals index, bracket. So where are we looking? We're looking in the year column, which is here, which becomes AA4 to AA19, followed by the function F4 key to make them absolute, comma, how many rows down? Well, you need to match that with the 4.4 million, which is sitting right under where I'm trying to type here. So I can't click on it. I'll have to type it in. So it's AE4, because that's where the 4.4 sits. So take that value, comma, and go match it in this column here, the gross revenue. Okay, yes, make that absolute. So function key F4, comma, what am I looking for? Exact. 2 ending brackets, enter key, there's your 2011. Autofill it down, voila. So 4.4 was in 2011, 3.9 or 3.021 was in 2012. So it worked. Okay. So then, there's basically the same thing over here. If I copy this and put this in over here, it should work as well. Just copy and paste. Because we didn't make the reference to the 4.4 absolute, this will have adjusted to AE11. And the other 2 columns are the same. Okay, so that's how you use large and small. We will see you in the last topic for this section, using choose over if, but not over IFS. Welcome back, everyone, to the last topic in this section, using choose over if, but not the IFS. At the writing of this course, which I wrote in early 2020, Microsoft had just come out with a new function, IFS, or ifs, which is meant to replace the embedded ifs. So it is an embedded if, but instead of having if multiple times, you only need it once with the IFS. So we'll do a choose and an IFS here. All right, so get back to our document and scroll to the last part in section 2. This one here, AL to AP, choose over if section. And we have 2 scenarios here. Let's play with this top scenario right here. Basically what's going to happen is we're going to have you type a 1 or a 2, and it will respond with top 5 or worst 5, and then it will choose whichever it'll show you whichever one you've chosen. Okay, so in this green box, AP4, you're going to go equals, choose, and the choose is basically index num, comma, the value. Basically, where is it, well, what am I looking at? Where is it? It is in our case, AP3, what the person types in. Look at that, comma, and basically you have value, it's basically position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if it's a 1, it's going to do the first one, which is spit out top 5, quote, comma, well, if it's the second one, or chooses number 2, then it's going to be the worst 5, and on and on and on. And that's all you do. You can go quite a bit of these. In fact, I believe it's unlimited. Enter key. Now, again, there's a value error because we didn't type a 1 or a 2 in. If I type a 1 in, now I get 5. If I type a 2, I get worst 5. Okay? So it waits for you to type before it does an action. Now, below that, in AP5, let's do the choose again. So equals, choose. Now, what are we looking at now? Well, now we're looking at, again, the AP3, the 1 or the 2, to determine if it does the value 1 or value 2 side of this choose statement. And if you choose 1, well, then we're going to execute a function. Guess what? The large function. So if you're choosing 1, it means you want the top 5. Well, then large, where, again? Well, this range here, comma, what's the rank you want? A05, where this 1 sits. Now, because we're going to autofill it down, we don't want anything absolute here other than this range right there has to be absolute. So put your dollar signs in on that one. Okay, bracket, comma, that's the 1, if they choose 1. If they choose 2, it repeats with doing the small. And it's the same thing, same range, absolute value of it, comma, and the A05. Enter key. We need 2 on this one. There's your 4.4 million again. Autofill it down. We have value errors. What did we do wrong? Well, let's see here. AP3, oh, the AP3 needs to be absolute. So make that absolute, because it's always referring to that 1. There we go, autofill it down, much better. So now if I come up here, type a 2, do you see how it changes to the worst 5 or the top 5? Okay. Let's do the same thing down below, but using the IFS. Now I already have a pick list here where you can choose worst 5, top 5. Okay, so that part's already done. So in this, I guess AP12, it's going to be equals IFS. Now, it follows the same syntax as the if statement. It's condition, comma, true, comma, false. So the condition is the value in AP11, this top 5, the blue one, is that equal to, double quote, top 5. And remember, this is going to have to be absolute. So does that equal top 5? Whoops. Fix that. That should be AP11. Okay. Does that equal top 5? If it does, then go ahead and do the large scenario. So same thing. Large, same reference points, absolute, comma. Now, we don't have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, so you're going to have to type it in, or you could use the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. I'll just use that one up there. So remember, you can type it in or make reference to where it sits. Okay, that is the true part of the if statement. So here's typically where you would do another if. Well, you don't. You just do another comma and do another condition. The condition automatically becomes part of your if statement, and on and on and on. So again, AP 11 absolute if it equals worst 5, comma, what do? The small function. Same range, absolute, comma, AO5. Okay, enter key, 4.4. There they are. So again, switch it to worst 5, top 5. Okay, so that is how you choose and the all new IFS replacement of the embedded ifs. Okay, that wraps up this section and this topic. We'll see you in the next section for advanced charting. Welcome back, everyone, to section 3, where we discuss advanced charting skills. And our first topic here is to pi or not to pi. And what I mean by that is a lot of people like to default to a pi when they want to show 100% of something. Well, we can do that with a bar chart and percentages. So take a look at our, or come back to our data file here, but this time switch over to the section 3 worksheet. And you can see again, I have some stuff already half done for us. But let's take a look at our data. First off, I have a list of our ranks, and we just have some calculations that goes and sums up all their ticket amounts and ranks them for us. And then we have some indexing here again, just to pull it all in and order it from the largest to the smallest, and then the percent. And we also have a grand total here. Okay, so let us put this into a bar chart and let's see what happens. So the first thing you need to do is select these two columns holding the control key. That's C10 to 14 and E10 to E14. Then from your insert ribbon, you're going to go to your chart section, bar chart button here, and you're going to choose the 2D bar chart right there, the horizontal one. So it looks like that. Okay, now we need to clean this up a little bit and rearrange the order. And to do that, we are going to basically right click on this axes here on the left side and go format axes. And over here on the right pane, you'll see there's a checkbox to reverse order. And you'll see how it switches the largest to the top and the smallest to the bottom. That's good. I'm going to get rid of that percent for a title just to clear up some space. I'm going to select and delete key. Looking good. I'm going to change the color of these bars. You can simply select them, use your paint can, and change the color. So far, so good. Okay. Now we need to turn on the data labels. So if you right click on these, add data labels. Now you have to right click on the data labels themselves, format the data labels, and we want to choose here on the right side, inside base. You can see where it's putting them. I'm also going to bold them, make them a little bit darker. Okay, now although this chart is looking at the percentages, which it is, it's 100% in total of 100% of the 13,900. I want you to select each individual percent right here on the bar, not the series, just the point, and then come up to the data formula bar up here, and you're going to point them to the value for that rank. So the 41% is going to equal D11, which is the 5750. And now it puts the dollar amount instead of the percent. So the captain up here equals the captain's value, 4,300. The lieutenant formula bar equals lieutenant, and then the chief up here equals the 0. Okay, pretty good. Looks good. Okay, but even though we have the percentage as an axis, it is actually, we can change it in here to show the value. Now I'm going to select this section here, and I'm going to make it a little bit smaller so I can get another object in here just like that. I'm going to insert a text box right there, and in the formula bar up here, it's going to equal the 13,900. I'm going to size the text box. Come on, oops. Okay, and I'm going to put it right there basically, make it bold. Okay, so we're customizing this 100% to make it, give it you 100%, and the point here is if I went over to D13, for example, and I know these are formulas here, but if I just typed in, let's say $6,000, look how it adjusts the entire bar chart, the percentages, everything, the values, everything gets adjusted. Okay, a truly dynamic bar chart, that's 100% of whatever value you need it to be. All right, that's it for this topic. Let's see you in the next topic, dynamic vertical group bars. Welcome back, everyone, to the topic of dynamic vertical group bars. What this is basically just lines that are within a bar chart to kind of separate your categories. So back in our document, if you scroll over to your right to the dynamic vertical bar group bar section, you will see I have some data here. And I also have some X and Y coordinates entered in. I'll explain what those are in a minute. And then I have a max formula here, finding the max value in that range. The other thing that's key here is that we do not have repeating values in here. You'll see why in a second. So first, select this data right here from type to amount all the way down. Insert a bar chart. We'll do a 2D column like that, and you can see right away the benefit of not having duplicate values here, because you look at your city bylaw, domestic and traffic, and that is because of those empty spots. Okay, now let's delete this axis on the left side. Just select it, delete key. We don't need those values. And you can select those lines in here, the horizontal lines, and delete those. Okay, the objective here is we want to have these lines right here expand upwards to help separate these groups. And that's where the X and Y coordinates of 3.5 and 6.5 come into play. 3.5 is 3 columns and a half. And then the other one is 6 columns and a half. But it's a little bit of a process. So now what I need you to do is right click in your chart, choose select data, and we want to choose add here. The series name is called bars. The series values, delete whatever's in there and select Y5 to Y6, those 2 zeros. Click OK and OK, and you have nothing yet, but they are there. To see if they're there, if you go to the format ribbon up here, you will see series bars. So you select it, they are selected, but there's just nothing there as of now. If you right click that line, choose format your data series, or sorry, not format, choose change series chart type, you will see the bars right there, and it's a clustered column. Switch it to a scatter, click OK. Now you can see your orange bars, your orange circles, but they're at a 0 level, and they're both just basically bar 1, bar 2. You need to right click those orange circles, select data, choose bars again, choose edit, and now you have an X value section. When you click in there, you're going to click and drag the 3.5, 6.5. Okay, click OK. Okay, now they're in better position. Still not finished yet. Deactivate not the chart, but those circles. But when you hover over the chart, you will see a little plus sign over here in the upper right corner. Click it, hover over data bars, and choose more options. Choose bars to add bars, add error bars to the bars. Click OK. You will see some vertical bars pop up, or horizontal ones, I should say, are sitting there. But what you need to do, and this gets very selective, you need to click on those bars so you can see the term horizontal error bar over here in your pane. So you click those bars, select horizontal bar there, hit your delete key, and it deletes them. But come up to this option where it says chart options. You can still see they're there, series bar, Y error bars. Select that. And what we need to do is turn on custom here. In the same pane, specify value, and the positive, delete it, and it's going to be the maximum, which is 2325. Click OK. Now you get a vertical bar. But you still need to come over here to the right side and turn on no cap, because it likes to put caps on them. Now it's just a straight line. Now to get rid of those two orange dots, simply select them, go to your shape fill, and say no fill, shape outline, no outline. And there you have it. Dynamic vertical group bars. And if you were to manually go to any number in the W column, and let's say just change it manually to maybe 3000, watch how it will all adjust the bars accordingly. Okay? That is your dynamic vertical group bars. All right, that's it for that topic. We'll see you in the next topic for dynamic chart ranges. Welcome back, everyone, to the section for dynamic chart ranges. And if you want to continue back into the Excel file, just scroll a little bit more to the right to the next group where you see I have done a little bit of a chart for you. And the reason why I'm already having some of this done is because we're just repeating some of the work, so we don't need you to do it. And this is a crash course. But this is simply a chart that is graphing the amount versus the dates from this table here, so the amount and the date issued, to get what you see here. Now, however, you can see because we have so many years of data that it's kind of getting a little busy. So what we like to do is allow users to pick a date range and the graph will adjust accordingly. Now again, I've already made two pick lists in here that reference the date issued in both of these from the same table. And I've also gone ahead and put in two index match functions here. The first one, the date range, is basically what's new here for you is that there's a colon right here in the middle. And what this is doing is that it needs to know what the start date is and the ending date. That's why you got the colon. And then the second one is I need to know what the starting amount is, which is matched to that first date that they selected, colon, and what's the last date that matches the date issued. Now, the reason why we're getting NAs in here is because we have nothing in here. So before we can do the next step, we actually have to put some dates in here. So I'm just going to randomly pick some dates from and a to date, and you can see how this works. It pulls in the dates from that range and the corresponding values from that range. Okay, great. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go into this 75, and you can either do it down there or do it up here in the formula bar, which might be easier. Is I need to know that formula. So I need to copy that formula. So do a Control-C on that. And now go back to the Formula tab, Name Manager, and click on New. The name is going to be called Date Range Values. Remember, no spaces in here. Date Range Values. And the reference down here is refers to, and then you can paste that formula in. Click OK, and there's your date range values, and click close. We're going to do the other one, so go to date range, come up here to the formula bar, copy that, go to the name manager, add another new one, and this is called date range, one word, and refers to, delete whatever's in there and paste that formula in, and click OK and close. So now you got those two ranges or two formulas as a name. Now what you need to do is right click on your chart, select data, and in the left side on the amount here, choose edit, and in the series values, instead of pointing to that amount column, you're going to point to equals single quote section 3, that's with a space in there. So section 3 is the name of the sheet. It needs the name of the sheet for this, and because you have to identify it with single quotes with an exclamation mark at the end, now you put in the word or the name that we use, date range values, click OK, and that one's done. Now you can select the right side, choose edit, and the axes, same thing, equals single quote section 3 single quote exclamation mark, and just date range. Whoops. Date range. Click OK and OK. Now you can see the bar has adjusted. So if you come in here, pick a different date range, you can see you now have a dynamic bar chart or line chart. You no longer need these values here. You can just delete them. And now you can just pick any date range. So if I want all of 2017, find the last one in 2017, and voila, I'm just showing 2017 data. All right, that's all I have to say for that topic. We'll see you in the last topic for infographics. Welcome back, everybody, to the last topic in this section for infographics. If you want to scroll over in your section 3 sheet to this infographics area, you will see again, I have done a few things just to get us ready. And basically all I've done is put in some labels here, female full, male full, and then I did a calculation based again on the officer tickets table, looking for all the females that have written tickets and added up their values to see how much they've written and then what their percentage is. This icon position, we'll explain what that is in a few minutes. And then I went ahead and created two little bars for you. These are just from shapes, and these are icons, a male and a female. Okay, and I just brought them in for you. And I quickly created a simple little horizontal bar chart on the female side only, because all we're going to do is do one for the female and we'll just copy it for the male. Okay, so to get going, what I need you to do is to right click on this chart, choose your select data to get to this screen. And the first thing we're going to do here is switch row and column, so it will swap the two around. And we want the female on the bottom side here. So we'll take select female, choose the down arrow here, and it will move that bar down accordingly. Click OK, and you'll see what's happened already. So it's quite a few changes. Now, also right click on the same chart, and this time format the data series is the option we want. And in the right pane on the right side, you'll see series overlap gap width. I want a series overlap of 100%, gap width of 0%. And you can see what that's doing here to our view, which is so far so good. Okay, select the bottom axes. What's these percentages over here? And over here on the right side, the axes options. So you have to click on this options icon, axes options. And you'll see bounds here, minimum and maximum. You see it's going up to 120%. That's because of the 1.2 here. That should be 1.0, and it will get rid of that and give it a full 100%. Now that that's done, I can delete this bottom axis simply by clicking it and choosing delete key. And same with this 1 over here on the left side, select it, delete key, and you can get rid of that chart title as well while we're there. All we're doing is clicking and deleting. Okay, so now let's size this a little bit. We don't need it so big right now. Something like that will do. Okay, now let's take the red bar here, copy it, Control C, select your blue bar and Control Victor and paste it on top, just like that. And we'll do the same thing for the black one, copy the black one, select the orange one and paste it, and you get that effect. Okay. Now the reason why we didn't color it instead is that we wanted the rounded corners. That's why we did the shape. Okay, now with those pasted in, I can right click on this data set and we want to choose select data to come back into here, and we do have to add another point or another series, and we're going to call it the icon, and the series value for this is going to be in this case, the 37% for the female. Okay, click OK and OK, and you are going to get this gray bar, and that's okay because it's the third data set on this. But we're going to right click that gray bar, change series chart type, and you can see down here it's icon. We want to change it to, guess what we've done before, a scattered or a scatter period, and say OK, and you're going to get this dot way over here in the corner with its own set of axes. That's typical. So now right click this secondary axis that's here, choose format axes, and in the axis options in the pane over here, where underneath the bounds maximum, change it from 0.5 to 1. Hit enter. You'll see it goes from 0 to 100% now. Now right click anywheres on this bar, go into select data, select icon, edit, and we need to cut the series Y, and then in its replace put in 0.5, and in series X values paste what you just cut. Click OK, and you will see two OKs. You'll see the gray bar or gray circle move right there. Now I can get rid of this secondary axis by selecting it and delete key. So far, so good. Now select the woman icon here, copy it, select that little gray dot and paste. And now you have the woman sitting there. Now would be a good time to turn on or right click the red and add the data labels. Now, of course, you may have a hard time seeing it, but right there it is. So select it, and you can right click on it and choose format data labels. And then way on the right side in your pane, we want to do inside base. And I'm going to make it bold and black so it's easy to see. And there is your completed bar attached to the female. And all we're going to do is I'm going to copy and paste it, or duplicate it if you want. You can do a Control D and swap out the icon. So select the male icon, copy it, select the woman icon, paste it. And now we just have to change where the data gets pointed to. So right click the male data set, select data, select female in here and edit the series name, delete it and point it to the male, which is BI6. delete the series values and point that to the 58%. Click OK. The icon too, you have to edit that one. And the series X values needs to point to the 53%. Say OK, OK. Now we have to return on the data labels. For some reason they get turned off. And again, they're sitting over there in the black. It's hard to see them. So I need to format those data labels, move them to inside base, make them bold. And that red needs to get repasted on. So I select the red bar here, copy it, select the blue here, paste it. And we're looking pretty good. There's two things I want to touch up. You'll notice each of these has some vertical lines on the left and the right side. If you select any one of these, come up to your format and select them over here. They're the horizontal value X axes major grid lines. Select it, and you can see there they are. If you hit your delete key on the keyboard, it'll get rid of them. Same thing up here, format, horizontal axes major grid lines, and then delete key. And as for the border, again, select each one separately, and you can do that from the format ribbon, shape outline, no outline, and it will get rid of them. And voila, you are good. The last thing to test now is if I change these numbers manually, because they would be connected to the other table, but if I change this to, let's say, 80% and 20%, look how it changes these quite nicely. 30, 70, 10, 90, whatever I like, it will adjust it. Okay? That is pretty cool infographics. That wraps up this topic and this section. We'll see you in the next section for using form controls. Welcome back everyone to section 4, using form controls. The first topic we're going to discuss here is the option button. So please come back to the Excel dashboards data file, but this time switch over to section 4 sheet. And the very first topic you'll see right here, option buttons. All right, so what we have here, just a little table. These are all typed in values, nothing linked or nothing. And then I have it over here again, but in this column, I actually have a formula where it says if B9, the yellow, is 1, then you're going to go ahead and bring in those values from the amount column. However, if it's a 2, then you're actually going to go over there, but times GST, or add a 5% tax to it. So if we manually switch this yellow, this B9 to 2, you can see it switches to amount with GST, and 1, it switches it back to without tax. Well, that's fine and dandy, but we want a button to do that, these little circles, so the user can just pick. Now, keep in mind, even though this is here, the cell link, that's just for us today. In real life, this would be hidden on a different sheet, so the user would not see it. All right, to use a option button, you need the developer ribbon for this. So if you haven't already turned it on, just right-click on your ribbons, choose Customize a Ribbon, and turn it on that way. But in this developer ribbon, you should see Insert, and there's a little button here under Form Controls. It's a little circle with a dot in it called Option Button. Click it once, and click somewhere in this white spot, and there it is. The first one you draw is automatically number 1, so I'm going to click in here, and I'm going to call it Amount. And then I'm going to do it again, Insert, Option Button, click underneath it, and I'm going to call it, name it Amount with GST, and this is automatically number 2. Okay, now you can move these around. You can do a control click to line them up. These are basically objects. Once they're there, you can now right click them, choose, it doesn't matter which one because they're part of the same group, Format Control, and all we need to do is that the cell link has to be B9. Okay, so when they choose it, the value 1 or 2 goes to B9. And if I right click on the other one, you'll see it does the same thing because it's part of the same group. So there you have it. So now when I click that one or that one, look at that. Mount is 1, mount with GST is 2. That simple to get them to auto adjust for you. All right, that's all I have to say for option buttons. We'll see you in the next topic, list box. Welcome back everyone to the list box topic. Back in your Excel, if you just want to scroll to your right in the section for sheet, you will see this section here for list boxes. And again, we have a set of data here that was typed in, it's not linked or anything. And then over here, we're going to have a cell link and whodunit. The idea of what we want to do is we want to have a list of ticket numbers. And when they select a ticket number, it will tell them the criminal name. Okay? So the form control we need for this underneath your developer ribbon is the list box. That's this one right there, list box. Click it, draw it about there. You can size them accordingly. And like all other form controls, if you right click it and format control, you will see the input range and cell link. So the input range is going to be, just click in there, move this out of the way. It's going to be your ticket list, ID numbers, and your cell link, which means when you pick one, it will put the value here in P10, in this case, the yellow. Okay, click OK, and voila, you now have your pick list. So you can click on any of these and you can see that, well, we don't have a large list to begin with. It puts the cell link in. Well, now we need to do the formula in P12, a whodunit. So it's going to be an index function. So it's equals index. Where's the array we're looking for? It's that, which is the U5 to U12, comma, what am I looking for? You're looking for whatever's put into P10. That's it. Enter key, they're Jane Doe. So as they select the various ticket IDs, it will swap out and tell you who the criminal is. And that's all there is for a pick list. All right, we'll see you in the next topic for scroll bar. Welcome back everyone to the scroll bar topic. So again, back in your section for sheet, if you want to scroll again to the right to the scroll bar section, you will see we have another table for you, but this time we are actually talking to the courses table, the courses sheet here, which is a list of courses and registrations. And again, we have a cell link section where this table will talk to that. Now, if we take a look at the formula, I put an index function in here. It needs a little explanation. So index, where you're going to go, well, we're going to B3 to B53, which is where the registration ID column is. And then you're going to go however many down from this section, which currently is 1. So that should be pretty straightforward. But what might throw you off is that if you move down to the next one, you'll see it says courses B4, B54, and then B5, B55. That is because the way we're using the index function, when the first one's B3 all the way down and it says 1, it takes that one. Next time when it's this range, which is B4, the first one it takes is 2. So basically it's offset by 1 for each one, and that's for each column, does exactly the same thing. So this typically, a lot of times you would see this being absolute. They're not in this case, and you'll see why. So now what we want to do is we want to build the scroll bar. So go to your developer tab, insert, and the scroll bar is in the second line, third one over, scroll bar, and you can put it somewhere over on this side. You might want to size it a bit, something like that. Okay, now this one needs some more settings than the typical ones, so right click it, format control. Okay, so in here we have a minimum, which is 1, it's going to be at least 1, to a maximum of the records that we have, which is 40. Incremental change 1 at a time for every, click on the scroll bar.
and we'll keep the page change to 10. That's if people are doing page up, page down. Okay, the cell link again is this yellow one, the AE5. So when you get your value, put it in there. And because this index function pulls in that yellow value, it will adjust accordingly. Okay, click OK, click off the scroll bar. Now as you adjust your scroll bar, you can see what we're doing. We're going through the list of course registrations on the other page. Okay, so as you move up the scroll bar, it goes up or down through that list on the courses page. All right, that's all we have to say for the scroll bar. We'll see you in the next topic for Combo Box. All right, everybody, welcome back to the last topic, the Combo Box. In this one, again, scroll over on your section 4 sheet to the last little grouping here called Combo Boxes, and let's take a look at what we have going on. So in here, again, we've typed these ranks in, and we are going to have an output for the combo box. What's going to happen here is when we select something in the combo box, it will spit out the combo number here, and then this will have a formula in here. So let's do this formula first. It's going to be an index. Well, we're doing this in AT5. It's going to be an index function where where's the array? Well, it's this list here again, comma, what's the value? Well, it's in AS5. It's the one beside that I can't see. Enter key, there you have it. So if you just type a number 1 in here, you see how it changes to chief, 2 is captain, 3 is lieutenant, yada, yada, yada. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and from your developer tab, go to your insert, and we want the combo box. That's this first row, second one in, and we're going to put it roughly in here. We're going to have to stretch it out. This one needs to be sized a little bit. Something like that. Okay. Then you right click it, format control. Like everything else, the input range is those 4 ranks, so A5, AR5 to AR8, and the cell link is the output, which is AS5. That's where it spits out the value 1, 2, 3, or 4. Click OK, and let's see what's going on here. Not sure what happened there, but it looks like we're back on track. Okay, so you pick one of these, and it will converts that to 4 and spits out corporal over there. Okay, we want to take this one step further, and we have a little shape drawn here for you. If you select the shape itself, and in the formula bar up top, you just say equals. In this case, it would be AT5, which is where the value changes all the time. Hit enter, and there we have chief. Okay, you can do any type of formatting you want to it. It's up to you. And that's it. So as I select, you can see how it changes it again, but in both spots, the actual value and then the shape itself. Remember, these right here will not be visible to the user at some point. You will have them on a different sheet. We just need them there when we're coding this in. It's this shape that the user ends up seeing. They pick something from here and they see it over here. Okay, that wraps up that topic and that section. We'll see you in the next section where we actually put everything together and create your dashboards. Welcome back, everyone, to section 5, where we actually put everything together now and actually create your dashboard. Remember, a dashboard is supposed to be a summary of all your items you want to get across. So now that we've done our formulas and functions, and we've done form controls and graphics and charts, how do we put some of this into one dashboard? So back in our file here that we've been using, I want you to create another sheet at the bottom of your screen and just call it dashboard. And right off the bat, let's get rid of these grid lines. So I'm going to go to view and grid lines up here to get rid of those. Okay, so it looks like it's a Word document. And from roughly, let's say C4 over to S,
S4, select that range, and we'll merge and center it, and we'll put a title in here. You can put whatever title you want. So I'll just put the name of my company, Alpha One Media. Maybe it's my annual dashboard. Okay, I'll do some basic formatting here. I'll bold it. I'm actually going to make it red with a white font. And I'm going to also, which is something that you may not have done before, so I want to select all my cells here, and I'm going to make them all the same color. I'm going to do a shade of gray, which is about the third column, third one down. I'll have to redo my title here. Boom. So it kind of looks like that. So that's the select all button here in the corner, and then making them all gray. Okay, and just so we can roughly have a border, I'm going to select everything from C4 down to about, let's say we'll try C28 or so, and I'll put a border on. So that will be our area that we are going to play with. So the first things we want to do is, some of them we're just going to copy and paste, some we'll copy and paste and make adjustments, and some will copy and paste and actually add a couple new features. So the first things I want to copy and paste are this one here. So back on the section 3 sheet, just select this not to pi area 1, take that graph, copy it, come to your dashboard and paste it in. And we're going to put it somewhere over here in the corner, shrink it down a little bit, like about that. And remember, if you wanted it to shrink proportionately, hold your shift key as you're dragging it. And I'll put a nice little border on it. I'll increase the weight and make the border black so it looks like that. Oh, a little bit too much, I think I shrank it too much. There we go. There we go. Lieutenant, there we go. That's better. Okay, then let's go back to section 3, and we will scroll over to this dynamic vertical bar group. So take that, copy it, come to your dashboard, deactivate the current chart, paste it in there. And this one we're going to squeeze in over here. And again, we'll have to shrink it down a bit. Looks like we're going to run out of space here. Hopefully we can get it in. Go this way like that. Same thing, I'll put a little border on it. Like that. Color it. Boom. Make it down just a little bit. Now that those are in their place, let's go ahead and add one form control. So if we want to go to section 4 this time, and we need to scroll over to this list box of ours. Remember the list box where we selected a ticket and it pulled in the full name of the criminal? Well, we're going to copy that. Let's see what happens. We'll paste it over here. But this time when we paste it, it lost its list. Okay, not a big deal. You can just simply right-click it and format control. But before we do that, so remember when this one here, when you selected a ticket number, it went to a cell link here, and then the criminal posted, which was a index function. We're going to have to repeat that over here and then hide it. So what we will do is, it doesn't matter where this sits for now, we're going to move it in a minute, but right-click it, format control, and the list, the input range, has to go back to the officer tickets table, and it's going to be all these tickets this time, so B3 to B40, and the cell link is going to be somewhere on our dashboard, probably about, let's say, K6. So basically we're telling it to put the number in there.
Click OK, and there you have it. So now when you test it, you can see it's putting the what you choose right up there on the dashboard. But we still need to know the criminal per se, so we need that index function. So I'm going to do this right on the dashboard, right beside the 4, equals index. And again, where are we going? We're going to the officer tickets, and we're going to select the full name column, which is I3 to I40, comma, and it needs to know what it's looking for, how many down. You're going to go back to the dashboard, and you're going to click on K7 or wherever you put that 4. Hit enter, and there's your Jane Doe. So to test it, if you click these, you should see it is posting all that there. Okay. All right, so before we clean this up yet, we do need to create a shape. So go to your insert, and we want to do a shape. You can pick whichever one you want. I'm picking this little banner here, down under stars and banners. It looks like that. You can size these. And remember, when you select the shape, up in the formula bar, it's equals, and then wherever the name sits, and on my screen it's L7. Hit enter, and now you get the name of the criminal in there. And I'm going to bold it and center it, just like that. Okay, so now the question begs, what do you do with these two here? Well, simply you can do two options. You can hover or put the list on top of it, or I'm just going to change the color of the font to match the color of the background, and you don't see it. This way here now, I can put that there. I'm going to put a little title here. I'm selecting that range, merge and center. I'm going to call it pick a ticket, get a criminal. Okay, I will put it in black with white, and I will position this like about that, and I'll put this right about there. And again, I'll also color that with that, and maybe put white trim on that. Voila. Okay, so as you pick your criminal or pick your ticket, you should now get who the criminal is. All right, so now let's take another form object, come back to your section 4, and we'll go to the scroll bar. And in this one, we're going to show you how you can keep pointing to this sheet if you want. And we won't be taking the actual scroll bar. We're going to redraw that. But let's take this right here. So click and drag that, which is AG4 down to AJ17. Copy that, come to your dashboard, and roughly here, paste it. And you're going to see we're going to get a bunch of reference errors. And that's okay. I didn't want to have to retype everything, but what we're going to do is come into J16, the first label, and you can see it lost its reference to where it needed to point. So these references, these were labels. So the first one is going to point back to the courses sheet, and we want the reg ID B2 to get that. The second one, we are going to do equals, come back to courses, and we want the student name, so that's I2. And then the third one equals, and back to courses, we want the description. We want to know what they registered for. And the fourth one we're actually not going to use, so I'm just going to select it up here and say clear contents. And I can paste, format paint that. There you go. Okay. Now if we take a look, let me fix the title here too. Let me put it over that, and I actually want a black title. Okay.
Now, these all have reference errors too. Now, if you look carefully, if I click on one of these, you can see again, it lost the courses reference, but it's still pointing to the AE5, which is where the scroll cell link is. We're going to leave that alone, but we're going to fix this courses here. So I delete that first part of the index and I come back to courses. This should be the registration ID column. So from B3 down to B53, enter key, and then you can autofill it down to the rest. The student name, same thing. I come up to the formula bar here, delete everything for the first argument of the index, and then that comes back to the courses, student name column, I3 to I53. There you go, so far so good. And then the last one, description, same thing, delete the first argument of the index, and that points to courses in E3 to E53. Autofill it down. Now you might need to widen it a bit. Okay, so that is what we're looking at so far. Now we need to throw in the scroll bar. So go to your developer tab up here, insert scroll bar here, second row, third one in. Draw it roughly over there. We'll size it, doesn't need to be so big. Remember, you right click it, format control, minimum value is 1, maximum is 40, incremental 1, page change 10, and the cell link, you click in there, click on the courses, the section 4 sheet, and AE5. So we're going to actually put the value on a separate page, yet is being called upon in the index formula. Say OK, and there it is. So now when you use it, look at that. Okay, it works. So as opposed to this top up here where we actually put it in here but we grayed it out or colored it the same, this is pointing to a value on a completely different sheet. Okay, so before we go on to the next one, I want to clean this up a little bit and line it up a bit. So I'm just going to grab these couple here and move them over a bit just to give us some space in between these objects and kind of center them a little bit if we can. So I'm just going to take this here, move it over. Actually, I'll probably do this. I'll unmerge that. Merge it here. Format painter that. Move that in like that. And we can narrow that down there. And we can do this. Yeah, I'm just doing some quick lining up here a bit. Remerging some things. Drawing this up a bit. Okay, and that works still. Yes, perfect. Center that a bit. Now we're ready for the other objects we want to put in here. So if you come over to back to your section 3 and select these two infographics, and you can copy that, come back to your dashboard and paste them in. Now we're going to have to size them a little bit, but you have to watch these ones. We can only size so small because of these icons. You'd have to resize the icons. So I'm just going to shrink them down this way instead. Do that to them. Yada, yada, yada. Boom. Okay. Now these, you have to change some colors. The chart area needs to be, and that's from here, from the format ribbon, chart area on the left. And then I can do the shape fill, adjust it to match the gray that you've chosen. And you'll notice there's white tick marks in the corner. You have to switch this to plot area and do the same color, and it'll get rid of those. So do that to both of them. Remember, chart area is 1 and plot area
adjust the colors, then you can get a better blending here. Something like that. Just going to stretch that out a bit. Okay, we should have an option here to align left. There we go. Okay, the last thing I want to do, hold on, I want to move this down a bit, is I want to put in a little title here. And we'll merge and center that, make sure it's bold and white. And we want to say, who writes most tickets, M or F? And I'll put a nice little, whoopsie daisy. I want to do, these are hard to select because they are wider than you actually see. Okay, this is what I want to do. And I want to put a nice little border on that. There we go. Looking pretty good now. Now we're ready for the last little visual to put in the corner here. If you want to come back to your section 3 here sheet, and we're going to take this dynamic chart this time. First, I'm going to start with the chart itself. I'm just going to copy that, come back to my dashboard, paste it in, and it's going to be over here. It's going to be kind of tight, so we'll have to squeeze it in. Something like that. There we go. Maybe a little bit down. And now I'll go back here and I will take the to and the from, copy that, bring it in over here. We'll have to adjust the colors in a minute. However, what we want to do a little bit different. I need to leave some space. Let's see here. Let's move this up there. Move this over there. Might have to widen this. You need to format that too. I'm going to redo these colors. There we go, much better. I'll have to do these in font and white. Okay, looking good. Now, let's see if these actually work. If we want to switch your from and to ranges here. Let's see what happens. And no, they're not working. Well, why is that? If you remember, in here, we actually assigned a formula to a name, and then this chart points to that name. That name points to these two cells in an absolute formula. So what we need to do, and you can do this from any sheet, on your formula tab, make sure nothing's active, go to your formula tab name manager and select the date range to start. And you can see in the date range, it says match section 3A6. That's where the first from is. Well, that's the problem. That's one of the problems. So instead of, it can't read section 3, and we have to be very careful in here. I have to select that carefully. Like that. Actually, you know what, before I do that, I need to know the coordinates. It's going to be P, what is that? P14 on mine. So this needs to go to 14. Whoops, and so you got to watch. It's very, when you're editing in here, it's very, very picky. So P, change that to P. And this is not section 3, it's called dashboard. Like that. On and on and on, looks good until the next one over here. It should also be dashboard and not P14, I believe it is R, would be R14. Very carefully, gotta watch the keyboard, won't take all of it. Looks good. Okay, I'll close that one. Yes. Okay, now that seemed to adjust. Now I gotta do the next one. So name manager, date range values, same thing. This needs to read dashboard. That's the name of the sheet. And the AS should be P. The 6 should be 14. And then over here, this section 3 should be dashboard. The single quotes in there. And this should be R14. Say close. Yes. Boom. Looks like it's working. If I picked that one and 14. Yes. Also, just to clear up some space, I'm going to get rid of this title. That will help a little bit. Because what I need to put something else in here yet. What I need you to do is, and this is where we're going to add some functionality to this for the user. You're going to come back to the table that this data talks to, and that is your officer tickets. One thing that's cool about tables, when you create or make something a table, there is a feature here on the table design ribbon called Insert Slicer. Okay, I'm not sure if you ever used that. It's a fancy word for filter. If you click on Insert Slicer here and turn on the type and click OK, there are 3 types of tickets in here: city bylaw, domestic, and traffic. Well, once you got that filter, you can copy it and paste it in your dashboard over here, just like this. And we do have, it's got its own ribbon. So with that active, you can go to Slicer here, and you can do different things. And I do want to make it 3 columns, so it goes horizontally like this. And this is why I needed this space here, just like that. And if you want to remove this label, the heading up here, we can, but be careful. If you remove the header, then people can't unfilter. It'll stay filtered by one of these. But we'll just show you what it looks like. I'll say Slicer settings here. I'll turn off the display header. Click OK, and you can see how we get rid of that. And we get this going on here. I can now make this a little bit bigger. Just stretching this out a bit, like that. Okay, so now when you click on these, you're getting domestics, city bylaw. Now it depends on your date range. So if I go back to 1999, do the full set of data in here, now you can see what we're getting. Okay. Now there still needs to be some modification here. So what we're going to do is come up to the slicer ribbon, and these are all these styles, but I want you to click on this little arrow right there and then choose new slicer style. And you can see you can choose different colors in here. So there's a couple items we want to play with. The selected item with data, choose format, and you want to do a fill of some color like that. Now, because if you're doing a fill of black, then your font should be white, like that. And then you want to choose unselected format, or unselected item with data, format it. And again, my fill is going to be red. Whoops, do that again. And therefore my font should be white. And then the other 2 things we want to change here is I believe it's the whole slicer. We need to use that gray to match, and the header. In case you put the header back on, you want that to match the same gray. Okay, so that's the whole slicer, header, selected item with data, and unselected item with data. Click OK, and sometimes, there we go. Come on, not taking it. Let's see if it didn't apply it. There we go.
You actually have to click it up here. We still got some white going on. I can right click it here and choose modify now once it's up there. The whole slicer. Oh, didn't choose fill, that's why. There we go. Much better. See how that blends in? And then I'm going to do one more little border like this. Whoops. Not too much. Put a little border on again. There you have it. So now you can pick your date range. You got your little buttons here for filters. And the rest of these are tied up. We're almost done. Well, what I need to do now is I want you to select, click on the letter U. So I'm going 2 over from my last used column. So if I click on the letter U up here, then on the keyboard, give yourself a Control-Shift-Right arrow, and it will select everything to the end of that sheet. Now I can right-click and choose Hide, and it will hide everything beyond T. And I'm going to click on 30 over here, row 30, Shift, Control, down arrow. It selects everything to the end, right-click and hide. Voila, looking pretty good. And then I'm going to add this. I'm going to select those, make them black so they kind of blend in. Same thing with up here. I'm making it black. Oh, we're going to do one more like that. And we'll do this one black. I guess we can do this one down here at the bottom and black. I can make these a little bit narrower. These a little bit narrower. There we go. Whoops, you're gonna have to move this back into place. And the last couple things to do before we wrap this up is I want to hide these sheets. So if you click on the ticket sheet here, hold your shift key, click on section 4, they all should turn white for you. If you right click them and choose hide, all the sheets will disappear. And then the last thing is on your view ribbon, if you turn off the headings and the formula bar, you get rid of that and you get a much nicer, cleaner screen. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen, there is your dashboard in under 2 hours. A nice visual representation of your data with all these various visuals and infographics and charts, interactive, and you're ready to go. Hope you enjoyed the course. We'll see you around for some more. Hello everyone, and welcome to the end. I hope that wasn't too intense for you and you were able to learn something. And I hope that you realize now that Excel can do compelling, stunning visuals as well and create fancy dashboards. That being said, if it was not enough and you want more, please check out my other courses I offer, Power BI Data Analysis and Power BI DAX Super User, where you can create even more stunning visuals and reports and dashboards and publish them to the web service. Also, if you need to contact me, please refer back to section 1, where you can see and access all my contact information. And lastly, please review and comment on this course as it impacts our course ranking. Thank you once again, and we'll see you on the other side.